Your favorite musician's favorite musician, Mr. Roger Hoard.
That's it. Welcome.
All right.
Appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much.
Happy to be here.
In our second Hoard in 48 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're mowing them down.
It was interesting because my brother Ben joined the National Guard, and I was curious to see how a National Guard band or an Army band like operates, how his drill was.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, there was that's what we talked about it the other night, and same thing. I did 21 years in the Air Force, and I never knew how that Guard band worked. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when he was here, we were talking about his band Bucket of Puppies, which is more like a jam band.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the chemistry behind bands of how you interact on stage and have fun. And I told him I can still remember 6 or 7 years old when my Uncle Rick took me to the Capitol to see Other Brothers. And I can still remember you guys doing Swingin' by John Anderson.
Oh, with the impersonation.
With impersonation,
Yeah.
it still stuck with me because that was the first time I saw a band interact on stage and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That probably happened from, one of those late nights in a bar where you're tired of playing the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it went off the rails, but it worked out pretty good.
So you just came here from CA House.
Yeah.
To tempt some people like me, some musicians. What are some new stuff you guys got into? Some guitars or some new gear?
Doing a lot of, we're a Gibson dealer again.
I saw that.
And a lot of PRS SE product, a couple of Silver Sky John Mayers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the new product hasn't arrived yet from the trade show. The National Association of Music Merchandisers, or NAM, they have a big trade show in January. Mm-hmm. And we used to refer to that as not available, maybe May. Because you order stuff, and if you don't go to the show with the intention of ordering stuff while you're there, you end up ordering stuff after everyone else orders and you're waiting for product.
Yeah.
So
I remember during the peak of COVID, I came into the shop and talked to Kevin Brosh, and I was asking him how you guys were in getting like Taylors and Martins in. And he said, we might be 6 months out right now. He said they laid off everybody and they only had their masters working on the guitars. And he said, you'll be waiting for maybe a year, but you'll be getting some of the best products that they're sending out.
Yeah. Martin especially, because they were already about a year in back order. Then being in Pennsylvania, they shut down during COVID.
Yeah.
So we're getting some Martins in, and I've ordered Martins last year that I'll see next year.
Really?
So try to stay ahead of it and keep product moving in,
I and you're a Gibson dealer again. I remember there was a Gibson show that happened right after one of my guitar lessons one year. I think it was John Cabrari came in and did a little Gibson acoustic demo.
Yeah.
He used to be the lead singer of Motley Crue for a while. And,
really?
He took over for Vince Neil for a while.
Yeah.
He needs to take back over again.
Yeah, that's
a friend of mine, Zane Baxter, sent me I got an envelope in the mail one day, and it's a little piece of cardboard with some wire wrapped around it and some writing. And so I stuck it on my desk, not knowing what it was. And he called me and said, you know what that is? I said, no. He said, well, I knew the guy that drove the Gibson bus, and he knew Les Paul's son. And he went to Les's house, and Les had all these big 5-gallon buckets full of wire. And all the wire he indexed, and he kept it. So I actually have a piece of wire wrapped around cardboard that Les Paul actually...
Wow.
Oh, no kidding.
He actually, did, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Do you play much with Les Paul?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. I've always seen, would you say you're more of a Strat player or a Tele player?
I was more of a Tele player, but in the band now, I'm probably playing about a third of each. I play Les Paul. Because like on Southern Rock or, Allman Brothers, you got to have a Les Paul.
Yeah.
The country stuff's Tele, and the Strat covers everything else.
Yeah.
So when did you get into music?
I started playing guitar or taking lessons when I was 11 years old.
Really?
I wanted to go when I was 8 years old, but they said my hands were too small. And they probably were. I mean, I was just a little kid, But I was told that when I was a kid that when Elvis Presley would come on the Ed Sullivan Show, I'd get my guitar. out
Really?
and get on the coffee table and mimic Elvis.
So that was your muse when you
That was my muse.
got you started.
And luckily, there was no social media then, so there's no record of that anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
But I was taking lessons from a guy in Akron named Bob Jurina, and he was also giving my brother lessons. And we had been playing probably a year, and he booked us for a little Kiwanis Club luncheon, and we played our first gig. I think we made $15, and that was a lot of money back then.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my brother switched to drums. We were doing a show one night. There was a radio show called the Southern Jamboree. On the radio station was WSLR, which was the first country station in Akron.
Oh, okay.
And we're doing this show one night, and they only had one condenser mic hanging over the stage, so we stood on chairs because we were too short to pick up the mic. And then one night, my brother being the ham that he was, the MC said, he was kind of fidgety, and the MC said, "Don, what do you want to do?" And he said, "I want to play drums." And they're like, "Okay, let the kid play drums." And he went over and he played drums. He'd never played drums before.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, but he went over and played a song and played drums, just like he'd played all of his life. So he got a drum set immediately after that, and I stayed on guitar. He went from guitar to drums.
Did you always stay guitar? Did you ever venture off and...
I play a little 5-string banjo and a little
Okay.
mandolin, but
Okay.
there's enough on the guitar to keep you
Yeah.
on your toes.
Yeah, I have a mandolin that is still sitting in the case, and I got the book. It's laying right next to it.
Yeah.
And I thought when COVID hit, I'm like, oh, this is a perfect time. It's still in the case. And
Yeah.
it's sitting there, and it's,
The lap slide was the first time I went and tried to venture off from the 6-string.
Yeah.
It's still 6 strings, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to translate all my go-to licks over to that.
Yeah.
I got a little confident in my last show, and I looked over at Jason Birch and I said, "Tell Charlie McVeigh I'm coming for his gig." If he's listening, I'm just joking.
Yeah, Charlie's he's a genius, man. He's
Yeah.
a great machinist, and he does benders. I have a B and a G bender
okay.
in my telly that he put in there.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's when I play with Gage, sometimes he'll be trying to learn a Paisley solo. And he's like, I'll spend all these nights learning this note for note, and then just to find out he's using a bender and he's just flying his hands around.
Yep.
All the secrets that nobody really knows.
I'll tell you, the first guy I ever heard that had one was years ago at the original Jamboree site, Mel McDaniel.
Okay.
Baby's got her blue jeans on.
Okay. Okay.
And Jimmy Olander was playing for him. And I met Jimmy probably in 1982. And he had the first double bender I ever saw that Joe Glacier put in.
Oh, wow.
And then I saw we were doing Jamboree in the Hills one year, and a guy come up to me and he said, "Are you Roger Hoard?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm Jimmy Olander." I'm not thinking, "Yeah, you are." Good band, Diamond Rio. Good band.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The thing I like about Jimmy too, you can hear one note. Same with Brad. You hear one note and you know exactly who's playing it.
Yeah.
They have that tone thing,
Yeah. Everybody has their own voice.
Yeah.
Now, do you still bring out an amp to your shows, or you?
Yeah.
I was going to say, because
Yeah.
everybody's moving to the Kempers and Axe FX, and I'm still holding strong to that 68 reissue.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I have a 68 reissue Princeton that I bought mostly for recording, and I started using it live, and it was a little light. So I went to the guitar show last year, and I found a Lewis Electric Buster, which is basically a point-to-point hand-wired clone of a 57 Deluxe
Okay.
5E3. 4 inputs, bright, normal, and tone. And I still mic the Princeton, but I use that for the kind of the to fill it out a little bit. But I've had amps. I've got a last year I was using a couple. I had an 18-watt 210 Marshall, and then an 18-watt Marshall clone with a 12.
Okay.
And that was a nice rig because the 210s gives you the low end, where the 12 kind of gives you the cut.
Yeah.
We can do hours on amps,
Oh.
as well.
Yeah, yeah. I always said, I don't know if you're familiar with the Harry Potter series, but there's a scene, there's a magic wand shop where the kids come in and he hands you a wand, and if it's the wand meant for you, there's kind of like that light up moment.
Right.
And that was when you showed me that 68 reissue. I've never found another sound I like
That was
better
the
than that.
Deluxe, right?
Yeah, the Deluxe, yeah.
I almost bought that amp, and probably in hindsight I should have, because It's got a little more power.
Yeah.
Because a 10 is just not enough.
Right.
You know.
And that was right when the oranges were getting real popular too. It
Yeah.
was either everybody was going to either that or the oranges.
A lot of guys are using the Kempers. I know Tim Brown and Eric Dulick both have Kempers. And I read that somewhere that Mark Knopfler's last tour, he took a Kemper out and modeled his amplifiers.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Did you see he's coming out with an album in a couple, with like
really?
It was like 100 of my favorite guitar players or something like that.
oh yeah, it's like I saw that.
Yeah, a bunch of compilations.
Oh man.
I know I saw like Slash. I mean, you could see almost everybody on it.
Yeah.
I mean, the album cover has the whole like.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
I saw his Tracker tour at Heinz Hall. It was probably 2016, and he was just so good.
Yeah.
The mix wasn't that good. I wish it was kind of a bass and kick drum heavy mix, and he's not the strongest singer anyway. So I would like to have more vocals, but
Yeah.
nobody noticed that but me probably. So.
Does your wife do the same thing? Like we've gone to concerts and we'll listen to the way it's mixed and we'll be like, this. And I forget, we went to see Priscilla Block and we're sitting there
Oh, I'm
and
still getting catching.
our wives are they're just loving it. They're rocking out. You hearing this? You hearing that? And finally, my wife turned on. She goes, "Will you shut up? Just enjoy the show."
Yeah, just enjoy
well, we're
it.
trying to. That's
Yeah.
us enjoying
That's
it.
how we do it. We listen with different ears, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny. It was like you said, when you're around it, you pick up that stuff where most people are just like, "Oh man, that was a great concert. That was terrible. It was mixed horribly. It was."
I remember it was at Jurgles, that show, and I remember they drug out a light rig that was the same as Jurgles' light rig. And I told him, I'm like, I bet you every light's going to be synced perfectly. This whole show's going to be perfect on that track. Do you use a lot of tracks when you play? No,
Nope.
no tracks at all.
Now, when I play solo, I'll occasionally use a looper.
Yeah,
Like if I'm singing, Wichita Lineman, I will loop the verse so I can play the solo over.
right.
Yeah.
I do a thing where I do St. Thomas, and I talk about how Les Paul used to do overdubs, sound on sound stuff, where they record vocals and guitar on one tape recorder, and then play that back, and on a second tape recorder record that plus two more parts, and you just stack it and stack it and stack it, which is what a looper does.
Right.
Right.
And it just breaks up the monotony of
It does.
you know.
I mean, Ed Sheeran has found a way to do stadium
Man, oh,
tours
man,
now.
yeah.
We saw his show at AccuShore last summer. And I'm an Ed Sheeran fan. I think he's a great songwriter. I think he's a great musician. But to see him he just taps it out, and you can tell that you'll see, that he's playing it. He taps it, does it, and the whole song sounds like it's amazing. It's just phenomenal.
We had a lady open up for us with an acoustic and a looper one years ago, and it was just a 4/4 beat, but she hit that loop pedal after the first beat of her 4/4, so she 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, then hit her pedal. Didn't realize what she did.
Oh, yeah.
And she kept trying to make the song work, but she couldn't figure
It
out
won't
that
work.
she messed up that loop.
So you're saying that she was a beat off?
One beat off, yeah.
Have you guys ever heard or seen Phil Kagi? Mm-hmm. He's got looping down to an art form, yeah. And he's a monster musician anyways.
Yeah. So all these venues that you've played in the High Valley, is there one that you call home more than the rest?
Oh, the Capitol.
Capitol.
Yeah. I started playing the Capitol in 1971, and I played till 74. And back then, there was a Jamboree every week and usually 2 shows. Mm-hmm. And when I first started playing, they had a regular Jamboree cast and maybe brought in a headliner every other month.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You had Jamboree regulars like Kenny Biggs and Kenny Roberts and Dick Curlis was a great singer. But and we would back them and play the whole show. We would drive down from Akron. I was living in Akron then. We'd drive down, get to the Capitol at 3, rehearse from 3 to probably 5, maybe 5:30, take a quick dinner break, and then play 2 shows from 7:30 to 9:30 and then 10 to midnight.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And then drive back home. And it was $39.40. And we didn't even use charts. We played the entire show by ear or memory, which, that can get kind of scary.
Yeah.
And then I became band leader. Jerry Brightman was the band leader and steel player. He left to go with Buck Owens, and I became band leader. And at that point, we started using number charts just because it improved the show.
Yeah.
immensely. So
Yeah, when everybody's on the same page with the number charts,
Yeah.
it makes rehearsals
Yeah.
just so
and
much
it's nice if the singer says, "Well, G's too low, can we go to A?"
Yeah.
Just transpose it in your head.
And if you're playing with like bass players, they don't usually say sharp.
Yeah.
When you're talking, and I'm always saying sharp to somebody when you're always going with the flat.
Yeah.
Version
Well, I
of
mean,
notes.
there's some more of it's like if you if you say like, oh, it's an E major. It's just an E for me. Yeah, like I can
Right,
do like
yeah.
a sharp or whatever. But and the other thing is too is because we don't use capos. So now when I see you put a capo on, I automatically everything
Yeah.
just slid up. However many, so that was like probably one of the biggest challenges learning how to play bass because it's just all of a sudden like I look over, I see you got a capo too. Now it's 2 frets up for me when so it's just kind of figuring out memorizing the fretboard. That's why I do horrible with tablature.
Yeah.
Like if I look at a bass tab, it's like I'm dyslexic or something. I just can't. I literally have to sit down and write it out, like G F sharp.
Oh,
G,
you have to go with
Yeah.
that.
I have to because I can't for whatever reason. I can look at like a song, like a simple song, like Sarah Smiles, Hall and Oates. It's a simple, Leland Sklar bass line, but you like when you try to find the chords on it or the music,
Yeah.
you can't. So I find all the tabs. So I literally had to sit down and figure out, okay, this is G, this is here, this is here, this is, and then once I can do that, I'm fine. I fly through it. So
So what would your like when you would get a set list that you have to learn? Are you going with charts and then kind of going by ear, or do you go look for the music charts of it, or I'm not the music charts, but like either the tablature or the
Number
full,
charts?
yeah, or the full notes, or how do you approach?
Well, towards the end, it get like and even the Nashville number system now, you can write in rests and breaks and
Yeah,
tempo, different feels and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's a little more sophisticated, but it still works good.
Yeah, it does.
And even I came back to the Jamboree in '83 with the other brothers, and Zane was the musical director because I didn't really want to do it at that point. And then Zane left, and I became musical director. And then I did about 8 years and kind of got tired of that. And at that point, Ron Retcher took over,
Okay.
musical director. But I'd like to know the number of shows I've played in that theater. It's got to. I can't even. I figured just. I figured probably 1,500 shows.
Wow.
In that theater, because it was 52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
2 shows a night every Saturday. It was a.
Recently I saw a picture somebody posted just lines all the way down the street. waiting
Oh
to
yeah,
get
that
in.
was Johnny Cash or Charlie Pride.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that
Charlie
was
Pride,
it.
yeah.
yeah, I know that like back in the 70s and the 80s, I know my parents went down there a lot. I know they went down there a couple times to see Statler Brothers.
Oh yeah.
My mom's a huge Statler Brother fan, and actually, I think one of their last shows they did a recording, and it was Capitol Music Hall,
Yeah.
and they were there for that one. So
So, after picking up the guitar and learning, becoming proficient with it, when did you decide like this is what I'm going to do? This is when I'm going to do this as a profession.
I just wanted to play, and it just kind of worked out that way. I mean,
Same
I
with
taught
me.
guitar. When the club thing slowed down, I taught guitar, and then I just kind of eased from that into part-time retail,
Yeah,
which became full-time retail. And here we are.
retail involved with doing what you love, though. You can't beat that. Just
Well, yeah, I mean, you're around music all the time, and music and musicians all the time, and it's not like digging post holes.
right,
you
right.
know?
now, I know we asked T-Bone when he was here, but how much more difficult did it get for you guys as a brick and mortar as opposed to like Sweetwater, Musician's Friend, everything that started popping up online, as far as selling stuff in store instead of people just going, oh yeah, I saw that Les Paul, I'm just gonna get it off here or whatever.
Well, I think that really during the whole COVID thing, that's probably
yeah.
when it kind of took root, I guess you could say. But, I know for me, I wouldn't buy a guitar unless I played it.
Right.
That's what he said too.
And even the only guitar I bought a Martin that I hadn't played, but I had played one just like it, so I knew what I was getting into. And I have a guitar order now I hope to see this year It's made by a guy named Kirk Sand out in Laguna Beach, and he's the guy that built Chet Atkins' electric nylon string.
Okay.
And then Chet took it to Gibson, and they stuck a Gibson decal on it, and licensed it. But I've played. I played one. Steve Warner had one that I played years ago, and so I should be getting that guitar probably in the spring. And it's been a long. He only builds so many guitars a year. I think he's been building guitars 20, 25 years, and my guitar's number 788.
788. Wow. You have a couple crooks too.
I got a Strat and 2 Tellys.
That you immediately see that the Paisley print or the I know it's not called the glitter print that he has that he makes, the real shiny one.
Yeah.
But you can tell right away that it's his.
Yeah.
Nice. So out of all your guitars, which one is sitting on the pedestal? That's my absolute go-to, my favorite. If anything happens to this,
I mean, the silver double bender Telly, and it's amazing. I do a lot of recording up at Jamie Peck's studio, and 9 times out of 10, a Telly sits better in a track than anything. I mean, occasionally Les Paul or Strat, but I think it's just the tone of the Telly, and you have to play it like you mean it, because a lot of guitars you can get away with stuff on.
Yeah.
But not a Telecaster.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're doing, or it'll expose your flaws in a heartbeat.
It's almost like that move from acoustic to electric. It exposes you.
Yeah.
And then going from a Strat to a Telly, that Telly will show you.
oh man,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by a new sponsor with a very special offer to our listeners, River Valley Power Washing. River Valley Power Washing is the tri-state area's experts when it comes to all of your pressure washing and soft washing needs. Whether you're a homeowner or a business owner, River Valley can get it clean and keep it clean. From concrete pressure washing and sealing to the top of your roof and everything in between, this is the company to call. For a free estimate, go to their website at rivervalleywash.com or call them today at 412-977-4108. Again, that's rivervalleywash.com or call them at 412-977-4108. Now, a special offer to our listeners. If you use the promo code 10String Tavern, you will get 15% off of your first project with them. 15%. Check them out today. That's River Valley Power Washing. So I bring up this a lot in the podcast about for musicians, like after show, that after show adrenaline rush where we're not going to sleep, we're running back that show in our mind. What was that like after Brad Paisley said, "This is the greatest guitar player on earth" in front of 40,000?
That was really, really nice.
How was that?
I used to book Brad on the show when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And I booked him so much, I used to get some flack from the management.
Really?
Because I thought he was really good, and back then we were and we still are a bunch of gear geeks, But that was quite a night, and it was nice because we got to hang out backstage and just kind of wind down. And the same in '94, I played a song with Chet Atkins on the Jamboree.
Oh, okay.
And after the show, he was hanging out and taking pictures to the point that George, his road guy, said, "Chet, we got a plane to catch in the morning. We got to get out of here." And he couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah.
And it's nice when people you meet, when your heroes are nice people.
Yeah.
'Cause there's a lot of folks out there that aren't nice people.
Right.
So for some of our viewers that might not know, what is the connection between you and Brad Paisley?
I was giving Brad guitar lessons. His first teacher was a guy named Hank Goddard.
Okay.
And then we did his video, Letter to Me, the one that he filmed at John Marshall.
Okay. Yeah.
And I met Mrs. Brinkman. And I didn't realize this until she told me. She said there was a period of time when he was in her class, she said that I was all he talked about.
Really?
So I was, and I probably, at some point, you get all wound up, and you probably overplay. You kind of get let go and just let it flow. And,
Yeah.
And so probably he got some of that,
Mm-hmm.
But I think when he moved to Nashville to go to Belmont, his playing just
Exploded.
exploded. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
But I was teaching him a lot of the Chet Atkins stuff, the
Okay.
fingerstyle stuff. And when I play out, I say my joke is I never could get him to use a thumb pick, and I think it's really hurt him.
I really dig his new song "Son of the Mountains." We did a cover
Yeah.
of that a couple concerts ago. I really like that one.
I just saw he's over in Europe now. He's in
Oh, really?
Oslo,
okay.
Norway, and Sweden.
Oh, nice.
He's touring over there.
You mentioned before the podcast you saw Kinnison at the Capitol.
Yeah.
Looking back at the comedy shows, what would you say would be the funniest comedy act that came through?
Kinnison was so funny, you laughed to the point you couldn't breathe.
He was like the guy that punched down. All the other
Yeah.
comedians punch out. He was punching down.
Yeah.
And we just saw Seinfeld there in September.
Okay.
And he was excellent. I mean, and a good comedian like that, they just keep throwing stuff at you until finally you break. And
Yeah.
then you can't hold it back anymore,
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny? Well, it's not funny, but what's sad about it is anymore. I envy comedians because it's like they gotta like toe the line so
Oh, I know.
terribly
Yeah.
that you say one little thing and
Yeah.
somebody will get triggered and then they want to wipe out your entire career and then you go back and you think of like well, I mean, like when I was when I was younger, I'd steal not steal, but I would sneak my parents' vinyl of like George Carlin and Richard Pryor and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, I went from that and all the way through like Kinnison and Andrew Dice Clay, and it just sometimes the raunchier, the funnier, where they would just get just annihilated. Now stuff is starting to come back where comedians are like, I don't care about your feelings.
Well, Dave
I really
Chappelle. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he
yeah,
doesn't care.
he was that same one where they're like, oh, they're gonna take him off Netflix, and he was like, I don't care.
Fine.
And when they were like, what do you mean you don't care? I don't care. I'll
He
walk
walked away
from
from
it.
what, 50 million from
Yeah.
Comedy Central when they wanted to tell him what to do. So.
And finally, I think what Chappelle did was the fact that when he started saying, piss on your feelings, everybody's like, yeah, and then it's slowly coming. You still have people
Yeah.
that have a meltdown because you use a wrong pronoun, but
Are you still a captain at Atwood?
Yes.
Do you still frequent the waters? We
Yeah.
went out there the past couple of summers for a family vacation, and we fell in love.
We've been going up there. I think this is our 18th season and our second boat.
Oh, wow.
really,
So we're hoping to get up more this year because we had older dogs last year and then or 2 years ago, and then this past year, my in-laws were getting older and they required time. And
Yeah.
but yeah, we have an enclosure where you can just zip it on the boat and it becomes a little camper.
oh
Oh,
nice.
that's nice.
And it's 25 horse, so nobody goes too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we went the first couple of years. We went to Seneca. My parents have
My family has a cabin out there, too.
have a pontoon,
Yeah.
and we like my wife and I, we all like to kayak. When you go to
Yeah.
Seneca and that horsepower, you could be out there just kind of strolling. You get two speedboats go past you, and
Just look out.
I've almost like sunk my kayak because it
Yeah.
goes so quick. Whereas Atwood, it's nice and easy. Plus, they got that little party cove.
They had that concert there on Risers.
Yeah, they got on a pontoon boat. There was
Oh yeah, that's the first first weekend in August. They do party,
Yeah.
party at the islands.
and it was we're going back out there again this summer. But that's one thing I've always, and I lived in Maryland for 6 years. I always wanted to sail, and I've never done it. It's like on my bucket list. I just think it's just so cool, but never got the opportunity.
I had a panic attack my first time sailing in Jamaica, my honeymoon, a catamaran. I didn't know how to turn it because you can't go with the wind on those things. You have to go against it, turn and go against it. So if this is like the shoreline, you have to go out like this in a diagonal line, and because the sail has to turn, and the wind caught me and my wife in this little catamaran. We were going right offshore. The wind kept going real strong. I couldn't get it turned around. And I would turn it to the left. We would go to the left. The wind would finally catch me more and just faster out, more and more to shoreline. And finally, I killed the sail. I told her, paddle as fast as you can backwards. I'm going to paddle as fast as I can on this side forwards. We managed to turn it around, hit the sail, and go back to shore. And the funny thing was, we had a Jamaican man teach me how to sail for maybe 15 minutes to get my like little permit to sail.
Yeah.
And we went out from the shore, and as we were coming back in, there was this little stand-up kayaks. I'm not sure what they're called, but people will stand up with
Oh, the paddleboard.
Yeah, paddle boards. There was maybe like 5 of them in our way, and I'm like trying to yell move, and the guy trained me says they didn't pay for the super fun catamaran tour. You can hit them. So our most popular question we get,
Okay.
and we usually ask musicians, is after a show, late night, and you're hungry, where's the one local business around here that you prefer to go to?
Oh, that's a good one because I try not to eat
Yeah.
after a gig because it's not good to eat.
Right. A lot of times I don't like eating beforehand. It just feels like it weighs me down. So afterwards,
Yeah. See, I have to eat beforehand because if I don't eat, my blood sugar drops and then
Oh,
my
yeah.
brain goes to sleep. Back in the disco, when I was living in Pittsburgh and playing in disco, there was a place in Butler that had, was it the sandwich shop? It had the best sandwiches.
Mhm.
Then there was a place in Meadville, PA that had hoagies.
Oh yeah.
Remember probably you're too young for the Esbridge hoagies.
No, I can't remember.
Yeah,
That.
they had the best hoagies out there across from Wheeling Subaru.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing. I mean, I
It's-
grew up.
it-
I grew up Wintersville, Steubenville area, so that's
I mean, late night anymore. It's like Sheets is the only place open.
sadly, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you eat that, you never think like that tasted good. You just think I'm full. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said before, like when I knew that I was singing, I couldn't eat before. I was always just afraid I'd be like trying to sing and
Yeah.
Yeah.
burp or something. And so, but now that I'm not really singing anymore, it doesn't bother me. So
I remember working with B.E. Taylor. He would never eat before the show.
Really?
And when they'd have catering, and 'cause I got to eat. I got to have some
Yeah.
pasta or something with some
Yeah.
energy stuff. And he would not eat till after the show. I don't know how he did it because he had a lot of energy too. And, it's amazing.
now we've talked about where you thought your home was, but where was one of the top places you ever got to play?
Wait, out of the area?
Anywhere.
I got to play the Tonight Show with Jim Stafford
Oh, no
in
kidding.
'79.
Wow.
And Richard Little was the host, which is ironic because you'd hope that Johnny Carson is there. We did a New Year's Eve at the Palomino in North Hollywood with Jim, and Claude Akins was there, Sheriff Lobo, George Papard from the A-Team.
Yeah.
and,
Oh, okay.
Connie Stevens. And I was on a break, and George Papard came up to me and said, "Really enjoy your work." I'm like, okay. And we played the other brothers played the Grand Ole Opry, and that was pretty cool. It was interesting though because we had a song called "Whatever Happened to the Cowboys," and it had a soprano sax break in it. And I told the sound man, I said, "I'm going to need a mic for that soprano sax." He said, "No, you don't." Why is that? He said, "No saxophone in the Grand Ole Opry, son." Like, okay, that's changed a lot, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that recently. There was that El
King.
King. She
Yeah.
came in, and I think she was a little intoxicated. And there was
Little.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the
Hammered.
video. Really?
Hammered. Yeah. And I didn't realize this till probably last year. You know who her father is?
That
Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
Oh,
On Saturday
really?
Night Live and all that. Yeah.
she did a really good performance on Live at Daryl's house.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
good.
Oh, she's a fantastic artist. I think she just, she was playing Dolly Parton's birthday gig
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
Grand Ole Opry.
Hmm.
And even Dolly said, she got had a little much drink. Let it go. Dolly was
Yeah.
cool. Like, let it
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to pounce on something like that now.
Years
Yeah,
ago
absolutely.
in the staff band, Dwight Puckett was our drummer. Dwight is Dolly's cousin.
Oh, really?
And he left, after he left the Jamboree, he's worked at Dollywood now for probably 40 years. Sings and plays drums and,
Huh.
That's awesome.
yeah.
So you have any Hoard Jones dates coming up you want to plug?
Yeah, we've got, let me get my
When did
calendar.
you hook up with him? And sorry, I think
I
he's
was-
like my third cousin.
I was Danny's guitar teacher
Okay.
when he was a kid. I knew his Uncle Jeff.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so he started coming for lessons. And then I started playing, I would play the doctor's graduation ceremonies at Ogilby.
Okay.
And I think years ago I played one and he was graduating. And we started doing a duo just, because duos are fun because you have to work a lot harder in a band situation. And then we just started playing together and we got some more guys. And the cool thing about this band is we do some original stuff, but we play stuff that we want to play.
Yeah.
We don't have to play X, Y, and Z tunes. We play the stuff we like to play. Like, I always wanted to play White Room by Cream.
I was about to bring that up. I saw the video of you guys playing that.
And I thought, let's play White Room.
Yeah.
Because nobody's doing it.
Right.
And it's a big, loud thing. It's like its own vehicle,
When you hear that intro coming before that.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of cool stuff in that intro. It was, who was the guy that produced that? Felix Pappalardi that played with Mountain produced that. And, but we're doing Fort Steuben in July 11th. We're doing at the Berkman Amphitheater, Fort Steuben. June 30th, we're doing Ogilvy Park Amphitheater.
Okay.
What else have we got? July 13th, we're doing the fireworks thing at Sally Buffalo Park.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, when are you coming back there?
Ashley Best is opening for us, and
okay.
I kind of charted his albums and stuff. I kind of like the band leader for his stuff, and he's got some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I did a couple albums with him, and what else have we got?
How was that stage out there?
It's awesome. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's similar to the one in St. Clairsville, but there's a lot more stonework, and it's really, there's a lot of money in that stage.
Yeah.
And I think Mark Piscarich, my buddy Mark, because he was responsible for getting the funding and getting the grants and all that stuff, and they're doing stuff every week out there, which is really cool. We normally do the Blues Festival, but this is the first year we're not doing it. We're going to do July 13th instead.
Okay.
But what else? And I do a lot of solo stuff. I do Vino de Pachin, a little winery down in Lansing. I do a lot of stuff at Ogilvy, like the West Spa Patio and the Hickman Lounge. I play as much as I want to, and I'm playing a little less than I used to. Yeah. You don't want to work so much that it's not fun.
Yeah.
Right. And still working, full time. I just played Frelick's last Friday. And I get home and, get a quick 20-minute nap and load the car and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
As soon as I had kids, I told everybody, like, I don't even want to do Columbus shows anymore. Get rolling in at like 6 a.m., 4 a.m. some mornings, and then waking up a half hour later with the kids.
Yeah, I like earlier. I mean, like 6 to 9, 7 to 10.
It seems like right after COVID, we've been getting hit with like earlier concert times. It's real nice.
I know when we do 2x4s, the acoustic karaoke, they really try to stress us starting early, and that's fine. But for karaoke, usually you need a little later so people can get their liquid courage to put in, and so. And what's funny is you can always tell when we play the Black Sheep. You can always tell the guys that aren't wine drinkers.
Yeah,
they come out there and they pound 2 bottles of wine, and next thing you
know,
we love the Black Sheep.
Love the Black Sheep. It's
good
so
people.
much fun.
I've been playing out there for. We're going to do their anniversary weekend this year, November 30th. We normally do Halloween, but we're going to do the anniversary weekend this year.
That's cool.
That's cool.
We want to do a live podcast there.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
It's like I said, love that place. I can't imagine it without that addition on.
Yeah, they used to have music before they even put that addition on.
I used to play there. Me and Danny would do. I got to play out there with Pete Hutlinger, who was a great guitar player, and Danny and I sat in with him one night, and he was amazing. Great fingerstyle player. Played for John Denver.
Okay.
Berkeley Grand, monster player.
Yeah, it was funny that you said played Frelick's. We played there when I played with my dad's band. It was an oldies band. So it was 4 of us, and where the bar is, they put a 4-piece band right there in that corner.
Oh, yeah.
And at that time, I was playing drums. So I almost had to jump over to get into this little corner and played almost the entire show like T-Rex.
I know when I play there, I've got a bow system and 3 guitars and a mic and a stool, and it's tight with just that. I can't imagine.
It was all bass players up right like this. Yeah. So it was. But yeah, it's another good. I mean, good people there. It's just it's tight.
Yeah. Well, guys, you want to put a ribbon on this one?
Absolutely. This is fantastic, man.
Roger, appreciate you coming in.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
that was
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you for inspiring me to play guitar, and thank you for inspiring little Layla to play guitar, because now she's walking around the house saying, my friend Roger gave me this guitar pick. And Kaylee came up to me and said, why is Layla carrying a guitar pick that says this is stolen property from CA House?
I feel left out. I'm like, when I was a kid, I should have learned. I should have went down there and learned how to get some guitar lessons. No, it's funny because my dad plays the same thing. He plays everything with strings. He plays 5-string banjo, 6-string, 12-string, can play bass. And when I was a kid, I wanted to learn how to play guitar. And it, like everybody else, it hurt my fingers.
Yeah.
So I found out that the bass really doesn't hurt your fingers, and that's how that stuck. So
And guitars are easier to play now too. And I think when I was teaching, I had students as young as 7 and as old as 75.
Yeah.
So if you got the time to do it and want to do it, I think anybody can learn to play something.
I love playing the bass, but like I said, I envy, and I've told him this all the time, and I know same for you, how you can just hear a song and you might never have played it before, but with your ear and the knowledge of the fretboard, you can play a song like you played lead on that thing for 10 years. That just blows my mind. When you can hear people that just, I mean, I really envy that.
I think there's a certain point where all your learning of like your scales and music, everything kind of just clicks, and you kind of have a language that you can play that kind of makes like you're playing unique. Because I mean, like there was a certain point where I just didn't care about learning solos for songs note for note. I could now know that this song is an A major, and I could fill in the empty space of what I want to add to it.
I was playing in my office yesterday at my telly, and I played something. I think I was playing a C on the E string at the 8th fret, and would be an E on the 5th string, and then open 4th and 3rd strings. And I'd never played that before. And I've been playing guitar at least 50 years. And it was amazing to me, all those years playing the guitar, I had never played that particular set of notes before.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to write a song about it, around it, because it's kind of like an earworm now.
Yeah.
And every day I sit down with a guitar and think, how can I write a tune around this?
Yeah. Or
So
what
you-
else is out there?
Yeah, because you never, I don't think you ever master it. There's always something new,
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about it.
Yeah.
I started playing, I heard Phil Kagi do a tune in Dadgad tuning and discovered that. And I probably wrote a half a dozen songs in Dadgad, because it's like when you first played the guitar, everything was new,
Yeah.
and you hadn't played it before and it sounds different.
Yeah.
So there's always something out there to learn.
That's excellent.
You're only as good as the last tune you've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a very eye-opening experience I had when I first started with Matt's band. I was with Jeff Higgins, John Markowitz, the older guys that kind of taught me what to expect, out of playing professionally. But I remember the first practice, they were playing a country tune and say like A major, and I realized nobody here cares that I can play every Metallica song note for note. And it was like a whole world that had to open up for me to learn all these country, all the country scales, just almost like a complete reset.
Yeah.
From all the learning I had previously.
And what's funny is if you switch that over, for me for bass, if you learn, for me to learn a lot of the Motown bass lines, same thing, how now that intertwines with, now it clicks. I got it. I can just.
Yeah. Pat Metheny said, always be the worst player in the band that you're in. I moved to Pittsburgh in 75 and joined a band called Penn Station. The bass player, Ron Fedoli, played with the Fifth Dimension and Buddy Rich on upright.
Oh, wow.
The drummer, George Pirelli, played with Maureen McGovern, ended up touring with Michael McDonald.
Oh, really?
And Chris Pangikas was a session keyboard player. And these guys, I don't even know how I got in the band, because these guys were so good. But man, it's amazing what you learn. I walked into rehearsal one day and Ron Fedoli was playing Jaco Pastorius' Portrait of Tracy. You ever hear that? It's all harmonics.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, and I'd never heard Jaco play it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, that's a nice tune. I thought he wrote it.
Well, I'll fade this episode out at some point because if not, we'll just keep talking
Well,
about
keep
music.
going.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
so.